Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. No mai, haere mai, and greetings all. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of EcoBytes. My name is Cheryl Adamson, and I'm the General Manager of the Parnell Business Association. We present these short and sharp topical conversations in the eco space and release them monthly. We all know that as humans, we've evolved with nature for thousands of years, and it's in nature that we really thrive. We also know the positive outcomes of connecting to nature in our indoor spaces. Today, we're going to talk about the interesting topic of biophilic design and how we can connect humans to nature in the built environment to enhance their well-being. So today's guest, Miranda Brown, is an all-round creative in this space, and I really mean all-round creative. She's an artist, interior designer, and a leader in the sustainable design movement for the past 2 decades. She's taken part in a range of projects and commissions from residential to corporate office space. She has international fashion ranges and has work in collections such as Te Papa. So it's my great pleasure to now hand over to Bridget Peach, who's a board member of the Parnell Business Association and our sustainability champion, to formally introduce and interview Miranda Brown. Over to you, Bridget.
Thank you, Cheryl. An absolute pleasure to be chatting with you today, Miranda, artist, designer, and all-round champion for nature. Miranda's been working at the intersection of creativity and sustainability using biophilic design to connect people with the natural world. I am incredibly lucky to work in an office that's been touched by Miranda Brown's biophilic art. There's art that takes its inspiration from pūtakawa, birds, and other natural elements of Aotearoa. It's a real privilege to get to work in a space like this. So I'm really excited to share Miranda's work and thinking with you all today. I think let's start right at the beginning for those listening. What is biophilic design and why is that so important to us humans?
Oh, kia ora. Thank you so much, Bridget and Cheryl, for inviting me to connect with your audience and to share more about biophilic design. So biophilia, as you have shared, Cheryl, it is our innate love of life and all living things. Okay, so that's a really big subject. How big is nature? So we're really interconnected with all of life, and that's very much the epicenter of my work. Okay, so it's the regenerative living system approach to design. So biophilic design interfaces with the concept of connecting people to nature, that we are connected through our communities and our ecosystems. So we're designing for people and place. So my work and my inspiration really is to connect people to nature so they'll look after nature. Evidence-based research shows us that when people are connected to nature in the built environment, that's indoors and throughout our urban environments, they look after nature. So that's a real driver for me.
That's beautiful. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what sparked this mission for you, this idea of connecting people to the beauty of nature in order to really enhance that well-being component.
Sure. Well, I think, when it comes to it, at the heart of the matter for me is that I am an artist, and I've really responded ever since I was young to my purpose, my heart and soul. And that in itself, not everyone follows that calling, and everything in nature has a purpose. So I'm a real believer that our biophilic approach really starts with the self, okay? And when we are living our passion, when we are connected to nature, then everything flows from there. So that's real essence to essence approach to living and designing, remembering we have the privilege of designing. So in the design world, and obviously then those of us who are engaging, creating spaces, creating products, we have a responsibility. So when we look at nature, innately nature is beautiful by design. And so that it's very scientific, it's mathematical, and it's geometric. And so the fundamentals, the principles of nature, we need to listen to those laws. And so when you look to Te Ao Maori practices, indigenous practices, that's deep within, that's deep ecology. We understand all life has value. So that's the fabric of nature creation, and it's the foundation of my work. And beauty is never separate from nature, and nor should it be from our designs.
It's beautiful to hear that. I wonder if you could chat into a piece of work you've done that you're really proud of to help put some of that tangible art in the minds of listeners as well.
Sure, I'll just share my screen, and
Perfect. Thank you.
so there's Aorangi, that is my mountain, my manga, and my place of inspiration. Just coming through to some slides here. I just want to stop on this one. Research shows us that we spend 90% of our time indoors. And so that workplace is the opposite really to yours, Bridget, and there is a real lack of nature. And that evidence-based research also shows us that when you lack culture and integration of biophilic design in urban environments, there's a sense of placelessness and there's an extinction of experience. So biophilic design isn't, in our view, those of us that are following it as a science and a design profession, it's not an extra, it's a necessity for society. Okay, so I'm just whipping through here to a project. Sorry, that takes you through to natural shapes, and oh look, there is a piece of work there speaking to this natural fractal patterning. This is an exhibition I did at JazzMax, and we've always used art as a tool since the beginning of time to remember who we are. And this is the Samson Corporation design, which was actually one of my most favourite projects because Jason Friedlander, who I particularly consulted with at the time, had a real value and understanding of the importance of our connection to nature. And those projects don't always come by. And we would love them to. So the investment does pay off in the end because we see more productivity in environments, workplaces, where there is that beauty and interconnection. There's the light play, the light coming through that steel cortine wall and the patterning on the office was all inspired. Now look, this project, healthcare, is a real passion of mine, and I work on privacy curtains for healthcare, and it isn't, once again, just superficial natural shapes, patterns, flora and fauna, birds, colour actually have a real soothing effect, and patients heal faster, they're more relaxed, the sympathetic nervous system is relaxed when we have visual iconography, and particularly fractal patterns through the eye system. This is science. Through the eye visual system, viewing fractal patterns, so that's like patterns of nautilus shells, cones, the head of a flower, all of those patterns, even plants. It's a repeated symbol, like a leaf, that is at different scales. Okay, so that's why a lot of my work features plants and flora and fauna. So there we go.
Amazing. Yeah, cool. Thank you. What's that vision for the future? What do you hope that people will really gain from connecting with your work?
Well, the vision, the big picture for me is that people really are able to realize their connection to nature when we create environments where people can be more tuned in, and that's through an array of natural shapes, plants, natural materials, lighting, smell. When we engage all of the senses, think when you're in nature, how do you feel? Okay, so we're coming back to a more embodied, connected feeling. And when we're in that state of presence, we're our better selves. Okay, and from that place we can make good decisions. Okay, so my ultimate goal is to connect people to the philosophy and the practice of biophilic design, for themselves, for their communities, and for the greater nature. So the voice of nature, our flora and fauna, our animals, that are subject to our design, whether it is good or whether it is bad, they are feeling those effects. So ultimately, it's an environmental outcome for me, and that's the vision that we're going, that we're looking after all life for all lifetimes.
Yeah, that's so cool. Just then when you said, think about how you feel when you're in nature, I'm taken to there's a particular bush reserve kind of native track near me, and quite often it's just, Bridget, you've got to get in there, and I'll get sent out and I'll go for a quick jog and take it all in, and I come back just a completely different person to how I went in. So yeah, that really resonated. I really do see that. So thank you.
Mm.
Um, one piece your work also encompasses is training for professionals. I wonder about a mindset shift that you think more people in the building industry or in indoor built environments design, what kind of mindset shift you'd be interested in seeing there?
Well, it's touching on once again, this understanding of a whole living system, and we are nature, so we are made of the same primordial substance, which is why you feel great when you're in nature. You take that breath,
Mm.
and so that's air, water, earth, and fire, and with each of those elements and cycles of nature, there is an aspect, there's a seasonality, and there's an aspect of self. Okay, so this deeper understanding, and engagement, um, really takes us into, the love of nature, and being the stewards, the Kaitiaki that we are meant to be.
Mm.
And I think we've got to really dig deeper and really, revere nature. Some of those slides I was going through there in terms of the training, I've trained through the Living Futures Institute, and the Green Building, NZ Green Building Council are now including biophilic design as a part of their point system. And so what we're looking to in that training is a much broader and deeper understanding. So we use the Kalert's model through the Living Futures Institute, with elements and features. We create workshops at different levels. Great to come in at a project at the beginning, working with the developers so that we can bring in mana whenua. We can really look at the geography, the history, and the place-based design, and then moving through the different elements. So it's imperative. This is the biophilic era. We must be connected to nature, and revere nature, and also look to nature's living system. How does it work? And model that. That's biomimicry. We need to start really moving instead of this reductionist, industrialized approach that's cutting and restraining, and
Mm.
there's so much more potential, there's so much more
Yeah.
beauty and love and life to be experienced. And
Mm.
yeah, we need to breathe now and honor life.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to hear New Zealand Green Building Council recognizing that in their Green Star Buildings tool. Yeah, I think that is a really cool step. I guess that leads really nicely to another question that I've got, which is like looking ahead, what excites you about the future of regenerative design?
Thank you, Bridget. Well, we are, at this moment, organising a biophilic event, the inaugural biophilic Aotearoa event. I'm working with Tricia Love, in particular, who is a sustainability accreditor for green building and living futures.
Yeah.
And we're working with Europlan, and we're working with Green Air, and a myriad of sponsors and collaborators have come on board. Everyone has said yes. So what I feel really excited about is the groundswell is here, and we know we need to do this differently, and we need to do it collectively, and we need that diversity of people in the room. We're not siloed, and we're collective, and I think part of this breakdown, what's happening, is forcing us to get in the room together, and this is what's exciting. truly
Yeah.
regenerative.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I wonder, for my last question, I wanted to ask for Parnell businesses or others in their homes or workplace, what's one small way or one way that they can start to bring more nature into their spaces?
Sure. Look, I think when we look at natural elements, obviously plants, and you've got a beautiful plant
Mm.
wall behind you. Plants, think water, think the elements. How can you literally bring in some of those direct features, water, earth, fire, air, and also those indirect, so that's some symbols of nature, the flora and fauna of Aotearoa, that reminds us of our birds. It reminds us of our voice of nature. And you could also work with the senses. So could you have sound? Sound has a huge effect on our sympathetic nervous system. So what are you listening to in the background, and what are you smelling? So there's some little tips. Think your senses and think the elements. Okay.
Beautiful. I love that. That's such a nice way to end, and I think it really wraps up the essence of these conversations, and what can we do to bring and to help make changes for businesses around. So an absolute privilege and pleasure to chat to you, Miranda. Thank you so much for your time. Ka
Thank
kite.
you so much. Ka kite, everyone, and connect with nature. Brilliant. Thank you.